now be part of MLB Network's on-site coverage of the World Series starting Monday, including MLB Tonight, before and after every game. His hair looks great. He's 50 today. He's Al Leiter. Happy birthday, Al.
My hair looks great. That's what you got. 50 years old. I'm not sure if I'm happy or sad. I think I'm happy.
No, you're fine. You look great. I mean, you got a job?
But 50, why is 50, or I guess it used to be a big number, right? Is it getting less? 50
Yeah, I don't think it's a big deal.
I mean, not. Well, so you're 50, right?
Tell me what 50 feels like, Al.
It feels just like 49.
Did it feel like 48?
I got a bum hip. My shoulder hurts. My knee hurts. I've had 5 surgeries. I'm a mess, Dan. Not really.
Come on.
I do need a hip. I think I need a new hip. All those pushing off, as you used to. Who'd you refer to me as? What was the pitcher? Once upon a time, you used to joke about my grunt.
You were Monica Seles. Yeah, the tennis player.
Yeah, that was funny.
It's still funny.
By the way, your time at the Notre Dame game, that was good, you guys, with the flask and all that. You made me laugh out loud. It's good.
We had fun. We had a great time. But what you didn't realize is...
And I like your Danette saying, you don't want to be identified. You got this big, red, beaming light. Beep, beep, beep. Look at me, Olympics.
I know. That was pretty sad. Everybody said, why do you have a red jacket on? I go, I don't know. I was ready for the elements because that's why I wore that in Sochi. So I just figured it was going to be cold there. And when I was hosting the Olympics, of course, in Sochi, I wore that red jacket. So I don't know why I had that on. You're right. It was tacky.
No. You're a humble star. Stay with it.
Thank you. By the way, did Springsteen ever get back to you after we called him on the show?
He did not.
Oh, boy. I apologize. I did feel bad about that because I thought, you know what? You had something really cool. You and Springsteen, you've been to a party with Springsteen and your buddies. You've been at his house, and then I sort of invaded that little private area. And
no, stop. You think first of all he doesn't care much about what I'm thinking or what you thought was a good idea. It's good, and you know what I feel. You know what? There's certain things, and I will tell you this. Bruce did allow me to enter a small part of his world. And as a kid growing up the Jersey Shore, and I have to reiterate the story, of course, Springsteen being the mega world star. But there's certain relationships with certain famous people that I cherish, and Bruce is one of them. Another one is Sandy Koufax. As private as Sandy is, he's a gentleman. He's a wonderful human being, and I could tell you, the fact that Sandy's allowed me to be his friend, and we do things together. I cherish that.
If you could have Sandy Koufax's career or Bruce Springsteen's?
Well, the only reason why I say Bruce is because his career is still going.
Yeah.
I guess I'd have to say Sandy because Sandy did what I did, and I wish I could only do what he did, albeit he had the best short, dominant window in the history of our sport as a pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. Bruce is pretty cool, man. He's still rocking it worldwide.
What's your go-to Bruce song?
I like Rosalita. I like Born to Run.
Oh, come on.
Well, I like...
Go off script a little bit there.
Yeah, I like The River. Which is a little sad, I guess.
Do you wish you were
Courtney? I like Born to Run, man. That's a good toe tapper. I had Born to Run as, you get your little song when I warmed up in Toronto. And then when Molitor showed up, he trumped me, and that was Paulie's song. So Molly would have Born to Run, so I had to change it.
Do you wish you were Courtney Cox in that video with Springsteen? Dancing in the dark?
No. I'd leave that to Courtney Cox.
Where he's reaching out, and he pulls you on stage, and you're dancing with Bruce Springsteen?
No. I'll just take the fist pump with a beer in my hand.
The Dodger situation. Is the Dodger job a great job?
I would think so. One of the best franchises in our sport, and it's in L.A., and it's prime time, and Hollywood, and all of the cool stuff that is associated with L.A. I feel bad for Donnie because I know Mattingly well, and it's not his fault. How do you win 3 consecutive divisions? And I mean, I'm sure you could peel it back, and people who watch day to day, you can find reasons for firing anybody, I guess, if you really wanted to look for it.
I think the bar's too high. I don't think the roster's great, and I could understand why both parties would move in different directions. And I do think it's better for both. It is. Because I could see where no matter what Mattingly did, it was not going to be good enough unless they went to the World Series, because it would always come back to, well, it's a $300 million roster.
Well, and he was a dead man walking. I mean, if you think about, how he was named manager after Joe Torre by a previous regime, and, Friedman comes in and he's got his guy. And Andrew is a major sabermetric front office guy, and the analytics to uber level, and I don't know if Donnie is really that. I think there's a generation of previous players that, while they embrace the transition to sabermetricians, I still think there's a gut aspect of it, which I like, because I think what's being lost with allowing these computer folks to generate lineups and think that you could have a cardboard cutout in the dugout. They're wrong. They're people. These guys have hearts, they have pulses, they have brains, and there's a relationship factor. And I think the Sabre world is, they don't factor that. Humbug, there's no feeling. They'll give you stats that say that there's no difference with hitting and runners in scoring position. As soon as I hear that, I respectfully glaze over, because there's a difference. There is a difference in the 27th out when your home crowd is screaming and yelling in a 2-1 game, and your guy's out there trying to close it out, than to throw a scoreless 7th inning. There's a difference, because there's anxiety, there's emotion, all of that. That plays into whether you make a pitch or not, whether you square up a 2-0 fastball down the middle or not. Don't get me started on that.
He's Al Leiter, Major League Baseball Network, Bruce Springsteen fan, joining us, Dan Patrick Show. Al just turned 50 today. I'm looking at the Mets team, and I think sometimes we can get caught up when it's a team of destiny, or, they're just doing things that they necessarily wouldn't do. And I think sometimes we do a disservice to a team when we actually are late to the game to understand that they are a very good team. And I do think we're all late to the game with the New York Mets. Your thoughts as they go into the World Series? Are they going to be the team to beat no matter who is in there?
Yes, and it's because of pitching. And if you look at the postseason, it does come down to that. And there's very few teams that cruise through postseasons and ultimately world champions by just out-thumping the other team. They are so dominant. And I mean, when I look at these guys, and I made this comment on MLB Network, and it's not that I'm not aware of other great staffs, but what I did say was, Dan, that the correlation or the stuff, and we'll talk about stuff, it's about dominating arm. When you have what Matt Harvey, Syndergaard, and DeGrom, what they throw is special. It's kind of stuff where you look and go, wow, 95 to 100, every one of those guys. But then beyond that, it's not just a chucker, a thrower who's just trying to reach back and throw the next one harder. They all have 2 legitimate secondary pitches, slider, curve, and changeup, respectively. And they pitch. And when I mention that, it's not about the body of work, because, had gone through the Braves for those years when I was with the Mets, and you knew that you had to go through Atlanta in order to get to the World Series. Yes, Smoltz, Maddox, Glavine, they're in the Hall of Fame. Their pedigree is at another level based on their body of work. But when it comes to watching them pitch, these Mets guys, there's no comparison. 3 guys. There's been 2, Randy Johnson, Schilling in Arizona, Pedro and Schilling. You could go back to the Drysdale and Koufax. There's 2 premier stuff guys that are great. Not 3. I can't think of it. If you look at how these playoffs play out, your 3rd and 4th starter, and I didn't even mention Steven Matz, like his young man, 95 miles an hour with a hammer. They out-pitch. And when you say about coming late to the party, I agree with you, but remember this too, Dan. At the trade deadline, the Mets were 53-50. They were 3 games over 500. And what Cespedes did to that lineup in that trade was like what David Price meant to the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays, conversely with the Mets, they thumped, but they needed an ace. The Mets, they pitched, but they really needed that guy. And when they got that guy, there was a different, they had a different swagger. Home, wow, we got a guy, a game turner, a 3-run homer guy. And that helped everybody. Of course, David Wright got back, and, Darno got healthy, and, the rest is history.
Are you going to do anything special today?
Well, I already had a nice birthday breakfast with my kids and my wife, which is always kind of a nice little tradition. We have a nice party. But also, Dan, I am a twin, and we have my twin sister and I are going to have a nice big family affair, big party. So, yeah, it's all part of it, right? It's just a number.
Will there be shots?
Shots, yeah. Shots usually, somewhere along the line, there'll be a shot or two.
Like cortisone shots, or?
Maybe, no.
Hey, happy birthday, Al. Great to talk to you again, and we'll talk to you during the World Series, hopefully. Thank you.
Great, Dan. Thanks.
All right, that's Al Leiter. He's a good dude.